It's a Friday, and we're talking football non-stop. All football, all the time. This is another edition of Football Friday with Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Thank you for making us part of your Friday, whether you be streaming, over the air, watching on KSL Sports, watching on the YouTube, or our friends in the future podcasting the show. Thank you for listening.
I can't believe Christian wore face paint after that game last night.
I told you I was either painting my face or not coming in.
Smeared mascara from the tears of everybody having to watch that game because that was horrendous.
The worst football game ever played?
The worst games of all time.
I think the Donks are going to lose out. I came in and asked Christian how they were 8-2. How is that?
Yeah.
How is that tub of a team 8-2?
Well, I think the defense is real. We'll see what they do. Was it next Sunday? They're against the Chiefs?
Yeah, they got the mini bye against the Chiefs, and then they have a real bye after that.
Oh, a lot of time off.
Yeah, one game over the next 21 days. I hope Bo can figure his stuff out.
Yeah.
And
stretch.
Why is it, and we were talking about this in the booth before the show, why is it the coaches are so addicted to playing injured players?
You talking about Gino?
Gino could barely walk on the sideline. He could barely stand up.
Put some dirt on it.
And old Pete and Chipper are like, Gino, get in there.
Who's their backup?
Tiny Hands.
Oh, that's right.
Pickett.
Kenny Pickett. Okay.
But honestly, okay, we can make fun of Tiny Hands, and he's not the world's greatest quarterback. But I've never understood this about coaches being addicted to playing players. Gino, who can't move, is not better than Tiny Hands.
I wouldn't think so. It's not a glowing endorsement of old Tiny Hands Pickett, though. If you don't remember, Kenny Pickett had really tiny hands at the combine.
Yeah, they had the hand measurement, and he's
bizarrely
got
hands.
Small little Cabbage Patch doll hands.
Right.
I always wondered this with Riley Nelson and James Lark when they were playing at BYU, and Riley had a broken back and was not playing well.
Get him out there.
And Bronco would not play, who I named at the time Jimmy Football, would not play James Lark. I don't know if James Lark ripped him off in a multi-level marketing scheme or something, but
sure.
it had to be like a personal vendetta. Coach, your quarterback has a broken back and really is playing terribly. That's my guy. I don't get it from what am I looking for? Like a strategic standpoint.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
Let alone from a human standpoint, I don't understand it. Like a strategic, Tiny Hand stinks, sure, but Gino stinks.
Yeah.
Because Gino couldn't even walk.
Could not
Gino
move.
stinks when he can walk.
Right.
Yeah.
So
good game, though.
Why not err on the side of, the healthy player who's not going to further injure himself? Do you remember in the playoff game with they weren't the commies then, but the commies and RG3, when RG3's knee was barely hanging on, and Mike Shanahan was like, Robert, get out there and win us a football game.
Little ice.
And then he tore what was left of the ligament, and RG3 basically never played again.
Yep. Well, football. It's a tough guy sport.
No, but that's not. Yes, it is a tough guy sport, but we're not talking about playing through a Charlie horse.
Sure.
We're talking about major injury.
Yeah, borderline incapacitated, which was what Geno Smith was last night.
Yes.
Again, you looked at him after the game, hobbling onto the field, and a huge, not leg brace, but they showed him getting wrapped up before, and the trainer couldn't hold it all by himself. There was two guys having to wrap up his leg, and then it was all right, on this drive, here's what we're trying to do, Gino.
No, you know what's funny? I was flipping back and forth with my Law and Order channel, And, I saw Gino go into the tent, and then I saw Gino come out with that Weasley trainer guy that was making him run up and down the thing. And it was like, okay, it looks like Gino's going to give it a go. Flipped over to Law and Order real quick and probably spent a little too much time on Jack McCoy and flipped back. But it was probably like 2-3 minutes later. Gino right back into the tent. And I was like, oh, Gino's back in the tent. Then I see him come out, and it's like, wow, Gino can barely walk. Gino's headed back into the game.
Let's see how he does on this drive.
Let's see how it goes. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? It was like Gary Patterson with playing running backs with concussions.
Yeah.
Hey, coach, what country are we in? Get back out there and run.
Touchdown country, son.
Why?
Yeah.
Is it because everybody plays with a certain amount of injury so coaches get numb to it? Is that what it is? Or are they so faithful in their good players? Is that what it is?
No.
I do not understand it.
It's a lack of trust in the people behind them, and when you don't trust them, you feel like it's going to be a bad reflection on you. Again, it's Dable playing Jackson Dart, demanding he comes out of the concussion tent and gets out there and gets fined $100,000. And he would, if you asked him today, argue that he made the right decision because Rusty being out there is a bad choice.
Like when Eric Spiropoulos fills in for Coach Lacombe, he does a great job. So don't get me wrong with this comparison. But let's say somebody else was filling in and it was just going to be a terrible show. And Coach Lacombe had a burst appendix. I don't call him and be like,
don't care.
Hey, Coach, I don't care.
Coach.
I don't care what you're going through right now. You got to give me, I need you in your chair.
Got to have you out there.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
No, I'd take the fill in and I'd do my best and we'd try to do a great show and we'd see how it goes.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't know where that. Well, and I certainly don't get it with a 2-7 Raiders team.
Oh, even a better point. Like you lose. So what?
If this is the AFC Championship game, and
I
Tom
still don't
Brady
get
has
it,
twisted
but-
his ankle, and you're like, well, the backup is Zappy. Who was his backup? He had some guys late. Well, whoever it was. Who's the guy in
Jimmy G?
Jimmy G? You're like, Jimmy G's a rookie. And this is a bad example because obviously Tom Brady took over as a very young quarterback in this exact situation and won a Super Bowl.
Drew Brees.
Drew Bledsoe.
Drew Bledsoe, yeah.
But
another DB.
I would get it a little bit.
Get it, Christian?
I would get it a little bit in that situation. But, yeah, the 2-7 Raiders.
Raiders.
I guess they were 2-6 at the time. You're not salvaging anything.
No.
Gino was Pete's guy. They traded for him, gave him $30 million a year.
They did.
Yeah, he probably feels married to him.
Well, but if he was Pete's guy, you think Pete would care about him.
I don't think Pete cares about anybody.
This is the problem.
Yeah.
But Pete, in theory, cares about winning. And I got to think that Tiny Hands gives you a better shot than Limpy Gino.
You would hope so.
And it was a 3-point game. It's not like they were...
They did. They missed the field goal to tie it up.
That wasn't even, I mean, considering like kickers are hitting 70-yard field goals now.
Well,
it wasn't
he's a good
even,
kicker,
it
right?
wasn't
The
even
Raiders
that long
kicker
of a
has
field
one
goal.
of those huge legs. He has one of those 60-yard legs. But yeah, missed from, 35, 40? It was not that deep.
Must have been that daunting donks environment.
Mm-hmm. Mile high. Hard to kick in.
Is it?
No. Shouldn't fly. That ball should
I think it was windy. That's why Bo Nix was bad.
Yeah, that thing
listen,
was straight.
I would love to make an excuse for the Raiders kicker. The wind was not the problem with that kick.
Nope.
That wasn't one of those.
No, that was straight as an arrow.
Yeah, that was not one of those that started off true and then you see the like golf slice at the end because the wind blew it.
He missed that from the second it left his foot.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Anyways.
Way to go, Raiders.
Enough Broncos Raiders talk. Jeez.
No, I just don't get it. I mean, I don't get why coaches are. They have to play the injured player. I mean, if we want to transition to college and talk about the Raiders and the Cougs, what about the Utah Raiders game? If Devin Dampier is too hurt to be effective, then why is he playing?
Yeah, well, let's see how L.J. Martin looks. And I'm not accusing BYU of playing somebody who's not healthy, and I know they're pretty decimated at the running back position right now, but yeah, we'll see what L.J. Martin looks like. He's not on the injury report anymore, so the full assumption is that he's going to be out there and playing.
Well, let's go into cold-blooded coaches world for a second. Take out the word healthy and put in the word effective.
Yeah.
Is L.J. Martin going to be effective? Is he healthy enough to be effective? And I guess with a running back, you'd rather have an injured shoulder than an injured ankle. I don't know. I don't even know if that's true. Running backs out there can let me know. But, I mean, I guess I don't even care about the health level. You got to care about being effective.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the part about after the Utah game why the excuse about Devin Dampier, I think, is frustrating to hear from coaching staffs because it's like, oh, well, we would have won that game if our quarterback was effective.
Then play
but his ankle was hurt.
And play your other guy.
Then play your other guy.
Yeah.
Then why is he playing? I don't understand that. So with LJ Martin, if he's being effective, well then fantastic. But if he's not, and it's because of his injury, well you've got to find another way to run the ball. And I think BYU is going to have to throw to open up the run. I always hate those cliches like you have to run to open up the pass. I think they're going to have to pass to open up the run. I really do. I think Texas Tech is going to do what they did to Utah and focus on stopping the run and make the freshman beat them. And the freshman has to prove that he can beat them. And then they'll relax, you'd think.
Speaking of injury reports, which you and I both laugh at, but Baron Morton, the starting quarterback for Texas Tech, is on the injury report for Texas Tech. Now, he is listed as probable. Now, I believe this is exactly where Sam Leavitt was. Now, Sam Leavitt has since had a season-ending injury and realized whatever that foot thing he was dealing with was really bothering him. But Baron Morton, starting quarterback for the Red Raiders, is on the probable list for Texas Tech. And as we know,
their backup's hurt, though.
Yeah, Will Hammond tore his ACL. They don't have anywhere to go. I mean, they have a third stringer, obviously, Mitch Griffiths. But, yes, they need Baron Morton to come out here and play in this game.
So you're saying BYU needs to go Kelly Olynyk on the starting quarterback?
If you know that there's a potential weakness, you should attack it.
Why haven't the Jazz traded for the clinic yet, by the way? That should have happened yesterday. But we can talk about that in top 3 stories.
Yeah. Kyle Anderson for Kelly Olynyk.
Straight up. Straight up. Where is the clinic now, the Spurs?
Spurs.
Yeah, they're not using it.
Kyle Anderson started his career.
Sure.
Yeah, reunite him.
Make it happen.
They need a guard all of a sudden.
I agree. I agree. Obviously, if Texas Tech doesn't have their quarterback, maybe that changes the story a little bit. Or to our point where we were talking about at the beginning of this segment, if Texas Tech's quarterback isn't healthy enough to be effective, that certainly will affect it if they play him. So, I don't know, Ben, what do you think the total points scored in this game is going to be?
BYU's been scoring well. Texas Tech scores a lot. I think this is more likely to be a shootout than a defensive battle.
I totally disagree.
I think we're talking about high 20s, if not 30s, for both teams. I don't think this is going to be 24-21 Iowa State playing Iowa State. I think this is going to be a game where you have to move the ball.
Man, that's advantage Raiders.
Possibly.
I just think it is. I don't think that's how the game's going to go, though. I think it's going to be a punt fest.
The line is 52.5.
That's
for what
low.
It's worth.
That's low. That's 26-24.
Yeah.
But they do have. Is Texas Tech still a 10.5 point favorite? So that would be 33-23, something in that range that they've got this marked up. No, I think these teams are going to have to move the ball. I think you're going to have to score in this game. And I know Utah and Texas Tech did not. I know that was a slugfest until the very last half of the fourth quarter. But
yeah, I think there are going to be a lot of punts in this game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Scored 43 against Kansas State. They scored 42 against Oklahoma State. They did only score 20 or 22 against Arizona State. They scored 42 against Kansas. They scored 35 against Houston. They did score even a terrible offensive game. They scored 34 against Utah on the road against a tough Utah defense.
They scored like 21 against Houston or against Utah.
They still did it.
Yeah, kind of. What do all those teams outside of Utah have in common?
Bad offense or bad defense.
Man, they suck.
Yep.
If you want to go comparative and, Utah's run over every team in the league outside of the two good defenses that they've played.
Yep.
And they certainly didn't run over either Texas Tech or BYU. So, I don't know. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think if BYU's defense is still leaky, BYU's going to get creamed. So the defense has to show up and keep it low scoring. I believe that is a key to this game.
You think BYU can win this game 24-21?
I do.
I think BYU's going to have to score in the 30s to win this game.
That means the defense failed, and that's honestly where I think that they stay in this game. The only reason Utah was in the game against Texas Tech was because the defense was good. Mm-hmm. So I think BYU is a little more capable of moving the ball through the air and is not as one-dimensional as Utah is, which will make them more difficult to stop from Texas Tech. But if BYU's defense gives up 30 points, I think they're toast.
Yeah, BYU's going to have to score over 30 to win this game. That's what I think.
But I don't think they give up 30 points.
You think BYU's defense holds them below that?
I do.
Oh. If that happens, I think BYU wins.
Yeah, I think they have a good chance to win. I think it's going to be close, and I think it's going to be low scoring. How do the Raiders move the ball to score over 30 points?
Through the air.
You think they sling it all over the yard?
Well, 30 points is not slinging it all over the yard. You should get out of bed with 30 points in college football today. 30 points is not hard in college football. How many points a game do they average?
Hold on, give me a minute.
Got to be in the high 30s.
I'll look it up. Let's see. Points, scoring offense. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Texas Tech scoring offense. Third. Tied for third.
43.
43.5.
BYU's going to cut it in half? BYU doesn't have a great defense. BYU has a very good defense, but they don't have that defense.
The defense needs to have a great game. I mean, is my point. I mean, you can.
And again, as we've talked about, they rely on big plays. Maybe Baron Morton makes some mistakes and they get some takeaways, and Utah was able to put him in very tough situations. That he was not super effective until they went to their backup, who was far more effective. But no, I think they're going to be able to move the ball. They're a good team. They're a really good team.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
BYU is too. BYU sometimes has to go score 41 to beat Iowa State.
I got it.
And they did it.
I got it. But I think they need a elite performance from their defense. I mean, regardless of what's happened in the past, they need the second half of Iowa State against Texas Tech the whole game.
You'd win by 40 points if you do that.
Well, I don't know. I don't think BYU can score 40 on Texas Tech.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if they will either.
No, I don't think BYU can score 30 on Texas Tech, as painful as that is for me to say.
I think they can. I definitely think they can.
Honestly, the Raiders' defensive line is incredible. Like, BYU's offensive line, I think, is overperformed, but they're going to lose the matchup against the Raiders.
I think so. I mean, Utah's offensive line did.
Yeah. So if you lose the battle up front on one side of the ball, you're not scoring 30 points.
Well, you make up for it with some quick throws, which they're going to be able to do because Bear is able to do that, and they've got the wide receivers who can get open quickly, and they've got Carson Ryan, who's a good tight end. And if L.J. Martin can do anything, plus what we know Bear can do to keep plays alive or make big plays on third down with his legs, I think you're going to be able to keep drives alive. I do think BYU's going to be able to move the ball.
I don't know. I honestly don't. And I hate giving the Raiders credit, but I don't know how much BYU moves the ball. I think they'll move it more through the air than Utah did. I think they'll move it more on the ground probably than Utah did because BYU's offense is a little more multifaceted and the defensive line can't just tee off in theory, which is what you're talking about with those short passes. But I think this game's going to be more about like one or two big plays. And that is a cliche in and of itself. So pardon me for being vanilla, but like we're going to talk about a Chase Roberts 60-yarder or a fumbled punt. Like the U game, I mean, I think that honestly the big play factor is how BYU is going to be effective because I just don't think the Utah march it up the field 12 plays taking up 9 minutes. That's not going to happen.
I agree. That's not how either of these teams really play.
It's not how the Raiders have given up. Like Arizona State, how did Arizona State beat the Raiders? They made big plays on one particular drive in the fourth quarter that was timed out really well.
They were up big, and the Raiders hadn't moved the ball at all, and the Raiders took the lead late with a really good fourth quarter, and then, yes, Arizona State had one final answer.
Right. So, I mean, I think that's the recipe for limiting the Raiders, honestly. And if Arizona State's defense can do it, honestly, BYU's can.
Well, I'm excited for the game. It's 24 hours from right now. We'll be early in the first quarter. I'm excited to watch it.
Top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com. Coming up next is Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. It is time for the top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com. Brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, where do you want to start?
Number 1, we got the Jazz at the Timberwolves tonight for a little NBA Cup action.
I'm going to take some Tylenol before I go in to do the show.
The court is highlighter green.
Yeah.
It's quite bright because it's a cup game.
I hate these courts so much. Not that we can talk about the game itself, but come on, we can find a better way to identify the NBA Cup games, right, than a crazy court that nobody likes to look at.
I agree with you. It's the ultimate cat in the wall. And I don't mind the cup games, but yeah, the court is maybe a bridge too far.
Yeah, just put a picture of the NBA Cup, the trophy, like they do in the finals, on the mid-court, and everybody knows.
Do the sidelines like stars all around the sidelines or something cool.
I don't need to have a seizure watching the game.
I'm with you. Minnesota off to a pretty bad start, and Anthony Edwards was out for a little bit with a hamstring injury. He is back, so you will see him tonight and then again on Monday when the Jazz play them again. But they're 4-4, and the concern here is that they are the fourth worst defensive team in the NBA. And Anthony Edwards being off the court, Anthony Edwards is a good defensive player. Their best player defensively is still Rudy Gobert, and this is kind of the problem with Rudy, is that at some point he was going to age out of his effectiveness. Now, Rudy, his actual numbers independently are really good. Still shoot really poorly when he's your closest defender. He still defends the rim well. But the rest of it isn't just working out together. Mike Conley's way too old. They traded up to get Rob Dillingham to be Mike Conley's replacement, and he's not playing because he's not ready yet, and he may not ever be ready. It's just the hard part of like getting over the hump. They are in a very similar spot to where the Jazz were with Rudy and Donovan, where you're trying to break through and get to that next step. Now, credit the Timberwolves; they made back-to-back conference finals. I just don't know if they have the next gear before they have to retool, and that's kind of what the Jazz realized.
Okay. I think the Wolves' problem, and we'll see how their defense, I guess, goes as the season goes forward. They're a terribly constructed team.
Okay. I don't mind them as much, but okay, I'll listen.
They don't have a point guard. You
That's a big problem.
astutely pointed that out. And Julius Randle is an awkward fit. He is not the player that they needed. And I think they're weirdly obsessed with playing these two, like playing Rudy with another big. They got that into their mind with Karl Anthony Towns. So that's the reason they traded for Rudy in the first place, because they've got this weird thing where they want to play Rudy with a stretch kind of big. I bought into it, to be honest with you. We talked about it at great length when Rudy first was traded. I liked the trade from Minnesota for that reason. It was a grand experiment. Well, you know what? It sucks. And if they could get another 3-and-D athletic wing or somebody like that, it would be a much better constructed roster on both sides of the ball. You trade Julius Randle for a point guard, for crying out loud. It'd make the team much better. But if you've got Mike Conley as your point guard and he's just getting blown by on every play, and then your defense sucks, well, I don't know if Rudy is the problem. But and then Naz Reid
he's been really bad to start the year.
And what is he? He's a stretch big that plays smaller than a guard. And Rudy plays smaller than a guard at times offensively, which it's just weird. It's a weird constructed roster. I think they made a mistake bringing it all back.
Julius Randle's off to an insane start. In fact, their top 3 guys are shooting the heck out of the ball. Maybe the top 4 guys, if you even want to look at it. Julius Randle is taking 5.5 threes a game. He's shooting 44% from 3. He's averaging 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. Like, if he plays this way, he's going to be an all-star this year.
What's their record?
Exactly right.
And he was an all-star in New York. And what was their record?
Player. Right. It is kind of the blessing and the curse of Julius Randle, which is the production is awesome.
But he doesn't help you win.
And he may not help you win.
He's LaMelo Ball.
He really was. He was much better in the playoffs last year, and was a big reason why they made the conference finals. And they figured out how to, you can play a half-court offense in the playoffs. And he's good in a half-court offense. And he can clearly put up points right now and has obviously been feasting because Anthony Edwards has been out. And by the way, Ant's off to a very good start to this season. 23 points, rebounds and assists a little bit low. But he's also shooting 46% from 3 on 6.5 attempts a game. Dante DiVincenzo is shooting 43% on 8 attempts a game. Jaden McDaniels, who we both like as a 3-and-D guy, is shooting 48% from 3 on 4 attempts. What I'm saying is all these things add up to more than what their 4-4 record would imply. And again, part of that's because Anthony Edwards has been out. I expect them to beat the Jazz tonight. I expect them to beat the Jazz again on Monday. And they'll be up at 6-4, and they will start to look a little bit better. And I think they will get back into the conversation as a top 4 or 5 team in the West. But I don't know. I am certainly worried about the defense. And if the defense doesn't improve, they're going to have to make some real changes. And it may start in the backcourt where, Mike Conley again and Rob Dillingham are really hard to play, to the point where Bones Highland, who's not a very good player, has bounced around a lot in his career, is getting minutes over Rob Dillingham.
Do you think he's an example of somebody who's still in the league because of their name?
Terrific name.
Terrific name.
Yeah, really good name. He is... He just kind of has a job until the next guy who does exactly what he does comes along. Because there's always that guy who is the third guard on your roster who's just like a little bit better than your young guy and certainly not as good as your veteran. So you can kind of just justify playing him, which is pretty similar to what the Clippers were forced to do at times last year. It's what the Nuggets had to do. And the Nuggets gladly replaced him with Russell Westbrook, which is not a great endorsement. And the Clippers gladly replaced him with Chris Paul and Bradley Beal. And Bradley Beal has been terrible as well, so it's not a glowing endorsement. And that's exactly what the Timberwolves are going to have to do.
What's next?
Number 2, looking like Jojo Phillips is back for BYU. He was on the initial depth chart on Monday and not listed on the injury reports.
Hey, if he can be effective, that's a big deal.
Absolutely. Getting another guy out there that can make plays, it's a real plus. No, BYU has a chance to do something unique, which is get healthier at the end of the season. It's not usually the case for a lot of these teams. So if you could get JoJo Phillips out there.
Man, Parker Kingston emerging as a real threat is a huge storyline for BYU. Maybe something that we're not talking enough about. Because now if you bring back JoJo and you've got 3 dudes as receivers, that changes the entire way that the Raiders are going to scheme for the Cougars, I would think.
Yeah, if you even feel like you have the ability to prepare for that much. You probably don't.
Remember when we were watching Chase Roberts emerge, and I'm not going to bring up any names because I don't want to disparage any other receivers, but it was kind of like, oh, man, this guy better hit because they don't really have another top guy. And I don't know if JoJo's a top guy or even if Parker will become that. But having 3 playmakers, like legit, you have to cover this person on every single snap. Man, that's going to change. That's going to change a lot, I would think. If he can be effective and make a big play early, that'd be a big deal.
Last year, JoJo Phillips, 13 games played, only 10 receptions and 200 yards, but he is a big play guy. That's the thing. He's a deep threat, 20 yards per reception.
Because he can fly.
So, yes, and so can Parker Kingston, and then Chase Roberts has great hands. Parker has really good hands, too.
Yep.
So, yes, if you add that extra option in there as just we've committed a safety and a corner to Parker or to Chase or whoever's cutting across the middle because they're both so good there, and then you have JoJo Phillips on the sideline running up. Yeah,
it's a big deal.
Yeah, you're going to be a really difficult team to stop.
Or if that safety is running with JoJo down the sideline, you know what he's not doing is tackling LJ Martin, who in theory would have the football.
Well, don't be surprised if they go deep to JoJo early on the first play of the game.
Yeah.
Just trying to take the top off and prove that, hey, you got to be aware of this guy. And then you just milk Parker Kingston and Chase Roberts. But JoJo Phillips, can fly.
All right, what's next?
Number 3, returning to a story from this show a couple weeks ago. Sounds like Fox has parted ways with Mark Sanchez.
Officially fired as of this morning, facing felony charges after stabbing an elderly man. In a, what did we decide? What did we think he was doing? Drunken or...
Well,
inebriated some way.
And somehow, I would guess he was overserved.
Was he in Washington, D.C.?
No, he was in Indianapolis.
Oh, he was in Indianapolis, okay.
No, he was not in the PCP capital of the country. No, he was... Although that would explain some things, if that.
I feel great.
If that happened,
you can't slow me down at all.
I was telling Ben, I watched one of those drug documentaries about PCP, and apparently it's all but eradicated in this country except for one neighborhood in Washington D.C.
Anyways, neither here nor there. Sorry,
inside
joke.
I had to explain your funny joke though, because that actually is quite funny. A 69-year-old guy who's just trying to empty the grease traps in the kitchen.
At 1 a.m.
At 1 a.m. in a hotel, and Mark Sanchez beat him up. Now, Mark was the one who got stabbed. I can't remember. Did he stab the old guy?
He slashed his face.
Oh, okay, that's right. Oh, yeah, because that picture came out. Yeah, Mark is probably going to prison. This is probably the least of his worries.
He's going to face a multi-million-dollar lawsuit if it hasn't been
filed already.
He's probably going to prison. He's certainly lost his job.
Coincidentally, Fox has hired Drew Brees.
Which I don't know if Drew. I'm not familiar enough with his persontality.
Never thought I'd see Drew Brees as the backup to Mark Sanchez, but it happens.
They probably were looking for an excuse to hire Drew. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Mark stabbing a guy. They're like, oh, good. We were going to get rid of him anyway. Now this just gave us cause.
You've seen Miracle on 34th Street, how they set up Santa Claus to hit the guy with the cane so they can fire Santa Claus and put him in the in sanatorium, as they used to call it. You think this is a Miracle on 34th Street for Mark Sanchez? You think this was all a setup?
All a setup. Rupert Murdoch set him up.
You get rid of him for Drew Brees?
That would be like right out of the pages of Succession. You know, did you ever watch that show?
Uh-huh.
Set up a really toxic situation to get what you want? Yeah, maybe.
Bad rep. Bad pub.
Although I guess it's not Rupert anymore, right? It's Lachlan.
Mark should have been holding on to this job for dear life because he had a chance to rectify being, although a fine NFL quarterback, certainly not good, but fine, and being the last successful quarterback with the Jets, to fall out of favor because of the butt fumble. Have this job, be a handsome guy who can probably talk football on TV well enough to stay employed for a long time.
He wasn't a bad broadcaster.
Yeah.
He was pretty good.
And if you look at, he's Fox. You look at the age of the Fox Sunday morning broadcasters, it's Bradshaw and it's Howie Long and it's Jimmy Johnson. Like, they've got a bunch
Jimmy's gone. But
Jimmy's gone. They've got a bunch of dinosaurs. They need a Mark Sanchez. They need a young, good-looking guy to step up and take over for Bradshaw.
One a little less stabby, though.
Apparently. Yeah, well, he wasn't that stabby before this. So, yeah, now he's out, and he's not going to come back. Real crazy ending to his public spotlight.
Do you think he was just like a hammer looking for a nail? Like the bartender cut him off and he was just bent?
Yes, probably. Like, yes, you're exactly right. Yes, something had happened. He'd gotten
in a fight with his girlfriend or something
on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Or he didn't want to work the Indianapolis game, or he had a meeting with the producer in the morning.
That's it, old man.
Yeah, all right, old guy. You're going to park your garbage truck or your oil truck in front of me?
The old man said, sorry, butt fumble, what'd you say?
Yeah, what'd you say? And he says, pulls out a switchblade. Like he's in West Side Story.
Oh, that's so terrible. All you can do is really laugh.
I'm glad the guy's okay.
I did that. He's alive.
Yeah, he's alive. You know, he slashed his face. It's horrible. This is a guy who, you know, you're talking about a 69-year-old who's still doing a very hard job changing out oil in a grease truck at 1 a.m. Like, this is a guy who's just trying to keep his head above water.
That's a blue-collar dude
right
there.
In Indiana, the most blue-collar person on the planet.
Should be set now, though.
Oh, well, I would think so.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope he takes Mark for the last $22,000 Mark has.
Go enjoy your retirement, pal. You've
earned it.
You've earned it.
Yeah, you earned it before this. You've earned it since.
I can't imagine. I'd love to hear the audio. I don't know. I know the video or some of the videos out there. I'd love to hear the audio. Like the old man being like, wait, what? Huh? No, dude, I'm just trying to get the grease. Have you ever heard those old bits with Adam Sandler where this is a high school janitor being severely beaten? I'd want to hear like that. Like, no, they told me I could be here. What are you doing? Hey!
Security footage from the incident shows Sanchez following the 69-year-old truck driver into an alley before allegedly confronting him. Per the police reports, the truck driver felt physically threatened as the confrontation escalated, leading him to pepper spray Sanchez before pulling out a knife. The driver told police that Sanchez smelled like alcohol and was slurring his speech before the confrontation turned violent.
Forgot about that. The pepper spray didn't do anything.
Mouthful of pepper spray.
Hey, man, what's that cologne you're wearing? Jose Cuervo? Is that Ice by Smirnoff?
Yeah.
I smell. All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next. Bartle at the top of the 11 o'clock hour at 11:30. Don Williams of the Lubbock Avalanche-Journal is going to join us.
Maybe he just didn't want to call the Colts-Raiders game the next weekend.
Stay tuned. Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's another battle for the Aggies, and the KSL Sports Zone has it covered. The Aggies return home to Logan for a battle against the Nevada Wolfpack. Your home for all the play-by-play coverage of Aggie football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
Let's lock in.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. What a shock. Christian wants me to read this next liner. Okay, Christian. Geez, I'll get to it.
We get it. It's the Broncos beat the Raiders. Live reader.
Here's the read, Christian. Okay, keep your pants on. Kick things off tomorrow at 8 a.m. with college football Saturday as Alex Curie, Christian Esparza, and Alex Napolis get you ready for the showdown between number 7 BYU and number 8 Texas Tech.
Why is this bolded and underlined in the document?
Then at 10 a.m., tee it up with Bob Casper and Brian Taylor for Real Golf Radio, bringing you the latest from the world of golf until noon.
Christian, do you want to just have us give out your phone number and you can just have direct phone calls with the listeners?
I would like that.
Talk through the game?
Geez, Christian, you want me to read it again?
It's Christian time.
You want it? No, it can't be on the lot. Kick things off tomorrow at 8 a.m. with college football Saturday as Alex Curie and Christian Esparza, not to mention Alex Napolis, get you ready for a showdown between number 7 BYU and number 8 Texas Tech. Then at 10 a.m., tee it up with Bob Casper and Brian Taylor on Real Golf Radio, bringing you the latest from the golf world until noon.
I think you read the names backwards. I think Christian comes first in the lineup.
I don't believe you that it was twice on the log, Christian. I just don't.
2X.
But whatever, I'll do what I say.
Yeah.
Or what
Happy
you say.
Happy birthday, Alex Napolis. Belated.
Can I bring up a theory for you real quick, Ben? We'll keep this short because we don't have a ton of time in this segment. But my theory is that Prince Harry hates his life.
Okay.
You remember the controversy from the World Series? We brought it up on the show that Prince Harry and his wife, the Suits gal, what's her name?
Markle.
Meghan Markle.
Markle.
Showed up to the Dodgers World Series game against
the Canadians.
Toronto.
Yeah.
And we brought it up. We're like, dude, you're like fifth in line. Well, like Canada is part of the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Like you are technically royalty over Canada.
Yes.
And you're cheering for the Dodgers.
Right.
And wearing a Dodgers hat. So he got some blowback, Ben, from people who felt betrayed by Prince Harry. He came out to explain. And I'm curious if you buy this explanation or what you think, all right? It says, firstly, I would like to apologize to Canada for wearing it, speaking of the hat. Secondly, I was under duress. There wasn't much choice, said the prince, who explained he was invited to the game by the Dodgers owner. He says he thought he was wearing the team's hat was, quote, the polite thing to do, unquote. And then he said, I'm going to wear this from now on and put on a Blue Jays cap, and then added, when you're missing a lot of hair on top and you're sitting under floodlights, you'll take any hat that's available, unquote.
I like that he's making his wife go back to work. Did you see this?
Oh, he's not making her do anything. I'll get to that in a second.
I think he's making her. I think he realizes they've run out of money. And he says, I'm hanging out playing video games. I need you to get back to work to bring home the bacon.
See, the broke part might be true, but I think you're misreading the situation.
Okay.
All right. He said, I was under duress. That is true.
Okay.
That is 100% true. Did you see the video that they put out? The fake celebration video of the Dodgers winning the World Series? They like recreated it to
of Harry and Meghan?
Of Harry and Meghan.
Okay.
So let me explain this to you, Ben. The video is of Meghan losing her dang mind. She's so excited about the Dodgers winning. And then if you look at a close-up, if you look at Harry during the whole thing, he looks like he's dead inside. He looks like he is a dead man inside.
You got to go back to work.
So I believe he wore that Dodgers hat under duress. Yeah, it had nothing to do with the owner. It had to do with your wife said, put this on.
Put it on.
And then how about the tap dance with, I'm going bald, so I'll take any. Okay, Hank. I don't think so. But she's going back to work because she's addicted to attention. Why do you think she married the prince in the first place?
Yeah, well, certainly hard to pass on being a princess.
And I think she did some stupid Netflix show that wasn't very successful and then tried to launch her own line that failed. And I think she's going back to acting because she needs the attention.
I think we got a lazy guy on our hands.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't.
I think this is a man who doesn't know how to work.
Oh, that's probably true. But she's not going back to work because he told her to. I'll tell you that right now.
You think she's calling the shots?
1,000%.
I think she wears the suits in the.
I think she wears all of the suits in the relationship.
She was in the show Suits.
I think he doesn't get out of bed in the morning unless Meghan Markle says it's okay.
He has the red and the green light that you have for your 4-year-old.
The hatch light. She turns it green when he could get out of bed. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't think he could have worn a Blue Jays hat if he wanted to.
Yeah, probably not.
I think she would have poisoned his dinner or something. No, look at that. Go back and look at that video. That is a dead man. That is someone who has no soul or even role in life.
Good for her. Good for her. Calling the shots.
For wrapping a prince around her thumb?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I got no problem with that.
Okay.
Yeah. A boss.
A bad one, but yeah.
A boss nonetheless.
All right, stay tuned. We'll talk to Steve Bartle. Coming up next, Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Nobody gets you ready for Utah football more than the KSL Sports Zone.
Ready?
It's a much-needed bye week for the Utes as they get set for the final stretch of the 25 season. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Covering the Utes better than anyone else. This is Ute Insider Steve Bartle of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake, Scott, Ben Anderson. It's time to talk some Utes. He covers the Utes for KSLSports.com. And Christian just told us he's got his video feed up so you can actually see him at the YouTube or at KSLSports.com. And boy, do you want to see this guy.
I can't believe Christian let his own camera go to let Bartle on.
Oh, yeah. Christian is pretty into Christian.
On a bye week?
I got it, Christian. I got it. Hey,
Wow.
time change for tomorrow. We've got the college show with Christian Esparza. Starring Christian Esparza starting at 8 o'clock. And you can catch Real Golf Radio, or you might know it as Real Golf Radio, from 10 to noon.
If you haven't seen our stream lately, it's 3 boxes split up, but Christian's the big top box, and
Yeah.
you and I have 2 little windows in the
Right.
bottom, picture in picture.
We know.
But whatever.
We know. 8 o'clock tomorrow. Don't miss it. Covers the Utes for KSLSports.com. He's our
You'll get
buddy.
a push notification on your phone.
He's our buddy Steve Bartle. Hi, Steve.
What's up, fellas? How we doing?
You sound great, Steve. Thanks for jumping on. Hey, I saw you a little bit last night on the podcast. How has this second bye week gone for the Utes?
Yeah, I think it's gone really well. You know, it's I was talking with a couple people this week, and again, similar to the first bye week, rest has been the priority for Utah. And going into the bye week, they were in pretty good shape. Obviously, they've suffered some season-ending injuries and had some other guys with bumps and bruises and that sort of thing. But, you know, at this point of the season, compared to the previous 2 or 3, Utah's in really good shape when we're talking about the injury front and health. And so, you know, I think this bye week came at a really great time for Utah, right? You got through the first 2 phases of the schedule. You're now 7-2. You're ranked 13th in the college football playoff. This was a great time for Utah to have a bye to sort of reset and recharge essentially for these final 3 games of the season.
What's your take on these early college football playoff releases and polls and all that stuff? Do you put any stock into it?
No, I you know, we've learned over the last few years that, you know, there's a lot of talk, and the committee is in full control of what they want and who they want, you know, in the college football playoffs. So the next couple of weeks, you know, it's going to be fun to discuss where certain teams land in the ranking. But, you know, just kind of given the history of the committee and, you know, the week-to-week changes that we've seen, where it's just kind of like, okay, what's the logic here? What's the reasoning in trying to pick up what the committee is prioritizing, you know, not only year after year, but week to week, essentially. That's sort of been what the committee, sort of the mode of operation for the committee. And there's, you know, so I think it's great for Utah to be ranked 13th, But, given the fact that we're still a month away from the ranking that truly matters at the end of the season, there's a long way to go. And so, it's just going to be important for Utah and all the other teams to just take care of business as best they can.
With that said, Steve, why is Utah ranked 13th? I mean, I'm with you. They have set up situations where USC could jump them, and there's storylines of Vandy who could jump them, or Virginia or Georgia Tech or whoever. But why are they ranked 13th? What do you think they've seen from Utah, especially recently, that gave them that ranking?
Yeah, I think when you have multiple wins in the sort of dominating fashion that Utah has had this season, and outside of the 2 losses, each one of their wins have been in dominant fashion. So you've got 7 wins of pretty comfortable margin. Utah not only has created a healthy margin on the scoreboard, but when you look at a lot of the metrics and a lot of the predictive metrics that are out there, Utah is showing up really strongly in a lot of those analytics, and that's the sort of thing that I think is helping Utah more than anything else is their performance. It's not fluky. This is Utah being as efficient as they can be offensively, being stingy on defense. There's been a lot of talk of the defense struggling, but still at the end of the day, they're giving up less than just about 14 points a game. And that's pretty significant. So Utah is not only getting these big margins of victory, but they're doing so in pretty dominant fashion statistically across the board. So it's really impressive what they've been able to do. And then when you look at the 2 losses, obviously both of those come against 2 top 10 teams now in the ranking, with BYU at 7 and Texas Tech at 8. And you go back, you look at the Texas Tech result 34-10, but you remember that game was 13-10 with 8 minutes left to go, and then going on the road in the rivalry game and dropping that one by 3 points. I think those are the things that have helped Utah and what landed them there at 13. There's not a lot of really bad results. Obviously the end result in the Tech game being what it was, the 24-point margin sticks out, but I think the context there is maybe something that the committee factored into the conversation with Utah. So I think there's a lot of things that have put them there. And I think it's, again, I'm a broken record here, but it's going to be on them to continue to perform this way the rest of the season in these final 3 games, because you look at the rest of the schedule and there's not the obvious opportunity to add another quality win. So they've got to do it the way that they've done it so far this season, by winning pretty emphatically.
So earlier today, Steve, Ben and I were trying to pin down just how good the Raiders the Raiders offense is, and Ben went through a bunch of scores.
This is the Texas Tech Red Raiders.
The Raiders, that's what I said.
I was going to say the Raiders last night.
No,
that was pretty rough.
The Raiders in the Big 12, although very similar.
Yeah, I got you.
Very similar fan bases. Very, very similar. We were trying to pin down.
I'm out.
We were trying to pin down just how good the Raiders offense was, and Ben went through a bunch of scores, and they have been steamrolling teams much like the Utes, and I think you could kind of see the parallel here. My question to you is, how many good, not even great, how many good defenses are in the league?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think Texas Tech has a really good defense. They're really good.
Yeah, I agree. That's one.
Pressure controlling.
As much as that hurts.
Utah,
yeah, sure.
Utah, BYU for sure, with the way that they're able to generate takeaways. Arizona State is, I want to put them in this category because they've done a good job, but too many times they're right on that border.
The Raiders were that against, or the Sun Devils were that against the Raiders, but they were not that against Utah. So I don't know if I'm throwing the Devils in there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like there's a lot of results that make me believe Arizona State is good defense, but also some results have not been great for them.
Yep.
I think that's where I would put the list, to be honest, Jake. I think it's those 3, maybe Arizona State. I'm trying to think of.
I agree with you,
others.
by the way.
Arizona has sort of turned the corner, but yeah, it's really that in the Big 12.
I think there might only be 3 good teams in the Big 12. Is that too conservative?
No, No, obviously it depends on how we define good, right? I think there are three teams that have obviously separated themselves in BYU, Texas Tech, and Utah. Are they good enough to be, in the playoff committee? I think they've done enough to this point to prove that they're that good. I think, we can sort of get into some of the definitions here. What do we define as good? But I think those three teams certainly have put themselves in the conversation among the best in the country this year with the way that BYU is, taking care of business, right? At the end of the day, it's all about the wins and losses. It's not how you get it done, just as long as you get it done. Texas Tech taking care of business, in the same manner that Utah has, with pretty significant margins of victory. They've looked great, both offensively and defensively at times. And then Utah, again, just coming up short in those two matchups against Tech and BYU. But given the fact that those two teams are top 10 in the country right now, I think you feel really good about those three teams. It's just are there teams behind those three that can close the gap? Is Cincy, do we consider them good? I don't know that we do anymore. Arizona State, Iowa State, I thought those teams would be, in the conversation. Baylor, TCU as well, but they've just not taken care of business in certain games. And, you look at the resume and it's just not impressive. So yeah, I'm with you, Ben. I think it's those three, and it's by a pretty wide margin.
Steve, tell me the story of Creed Whittemore. Why wasn't he playing, and why is he playing now? Because Utah, let's face it, I mean, Ryan Davis has been great, but they've been looking for another receiver the whole season. So take me through what's the deal with Whittemore.
Yeah, they've got Ryan Davis, who's top 5 in the Big 12 in a number of receiving categories, top 2 really behind Jordan Tyson in a number of those. He's been really effective, and obviously with the chemistry that he and Dampier have, pretty significant. So Ryan Davis has been really good, and then Dallin Bentley has been pretty good throughout the season as a solid complement to Davis in the passing attack. But that other wide receiver spot, it's been a rotating cast of characters this season. It's been J.J. Buchanan at times. Larry Simmons had a moment there against Colorado with Bird Ficklin and connecting with him a couple times. And then Creed Whittemore hasn't played a whole lot this season. And, coming out of fall camp, after the first couple weeks, it sounded like he had a really tough time in fall camp with ball security issues, not just in terms of fumbles, but also, catching, converting targets into receptions and all of that sort of thing. It sounded like it was hard for Utah to trust him to go out and execute because he wasn't executing in fall camp. So, credit to him though, because he's stuck with it. He's continued to work. He's continued to put in the time and effort to earn an opportunity. And, he got some looks against Cincinnati last week. And, he had a fade route early on in the game that, he wasn't able to convert on in the end zone, but then got another opportunity late in the game to punch in a touchdown, which was really impressive. And so, yeah, I think Utah is obviously searching for, another complement to Ryan Davis and Dallin Bentley in the passing attack. And I think it's going to be interesting to see who takes advantage of these opportunities in the final 3 games. But it's still going to be kind of the rotation that we've seen. J.J. Buchanan, Larry Simmons, Tobias Merriweather, now that he's going to be returning from the injury report. And so, can Creed Whittemore continue to work his way into more opportunities based on what Kyle Whittingham said post-game, after Cincinnati, that he's helped his cause a lot, and getting into the end zone obviously helped as well. So I think we'll see him get some more opportunities, but that's going to be, I think, a pretty big key for Utah over these final 3 games, is finding another complement in the passing game to Davis and Bentley.
If you had to bet now, how many Big 12 teams make the playoff?
2. I feel comfortable with the Big 12 getting 2 in. What's fascinating is that, here we are November 7th, and, there's at least a path for the Big 12 to get 3 bids. And I think, if we had suggested that, throughout the offseason, that being a talking point, I think, a lot of people in the Big 12 would have jumped at the opportunity to have that as a thing for the conference to get 3 teams in. And I think, But again, I think with the way that the schedule set up for, BYU, Texas Tech, and Utah the rest of the way, and then you look at some of the teams, around Utah and Tech and BYU in the rankings, there's certainly potential for chaos for the Big 12 to get 3 in. There's also potential for those teams, mixed in around there to add quality wins to the resume to get their to punch their ticket into the playoffs. So I think the Big 12 gets to. I feel good about that. Not great, but feel good, and there's at least an opportunity for the Big 12 to get 3 in this year, which would be huge for the conference.
All right, Steve, you've covered the Utes against the Cougs, and you've covered the Utes against the Raiders. Who do you think wins tomorrow?
Man, what a great matchup it's going to be. I think given the fact that the game is in Lubbock, that the home crowd is going to be juiced, given the fact that ESPN College Game Day is there, I think Texas Tech wins. But I think what BYU has shown is that they're able to really muck up some games, make teams inefficient. And I think given the way that their defense sets up, where they're not necessarily concerned about getting to the quarterback, creating pressure, but dropping players into coverage and creating takeaways. With Bayron Morton, I was never super impressed with him. He is, to me, in my opinion, the weak link of that team. And the issue is there that he really struggles against pressure. So is he going to be able to do enough when not pressured in dissecting that BYU defense, or will BYU be able to create the takeaways that they have against all these other teams without generating pressure? That's going to be the key to me. So I think Texas Tech wins, but I think it's going to be a really competitive game. And I think with what we've seen, I would not be surprised if Tech gets a couple late scores like they have. They just seem to, find a way late in the fourth quarter to add a couple late scores to really push that margin. But I think this is going to be a really competitive game tomorrow, and I have Texas Tech winning.
What did you see from Utah men's basketball in their first game?
A lot of athleticism. That's what I saw. A lot of athleticism. It was definitely
guard play, right?
It was. And that was kind of the big thing was with Terrence Brown and Don McHenry, Utah has guards that I think are better suited for the Big 12 and the athleticism that you need. You need guards that can break down defenders, get into the paint, and kind of create defensive issues, right? Forcing rotations and driving kick opportunities. Utah didn't have that last year on the roster, and I think they've got two in Brown and McHenry. They've got what looks like a pretty solid spot-up shooter in Jacob Patrick. Keanu Dawes and Seydou Traore look to be really versatile forwards. Seydou Traore had 23 points on 9 of 14 shooting, really efficient. This is going to be important for Utah with Weber State coming to the Huntsman Center tomorrow night to continue to build confidence and moving forward. They've got a pretty easy slate the next 5 games. And then they'll face a couple tougher challenges. But this is going to be important for Utah to continue developing chemistry, confidence with this group. There's potential here, but yeah, I think there's some exciting pieces, but a long way to go for Utah this season.
Steve, we appreciate all of your fine work. Thank you very much. Enjoy your weekend without a game to cover.
Yeah, it'll be quite nice. Appreciate you fellas for having me on. I hope you guys finish the show quite strong and continue to show love to the Red Raider fan base.
Yeah, that's what we do here. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks,
You're
Steve.
the best. All right, there's our friend Steve Bartle. Does a great job covering the Utes for KSLSports.com.
He's got Texas Tech. I don't think because he's a Utah homer. He's not. I think because he's afraid of Texas Tech's fans coming after him.
Well,
I don't
yeah.
think that's rivalry talk. I think he's afraid
Steve,
for his
Bartle
life.
me this. He's afraid of the Raider fans?
Yeah.
Well, they do mug people, so there is that.
Be afraid of all. He get a tortilla to the face if he's not careful. Is that the Red Raiders?
Yeah.
Yeah, be careful.
Yeah, what a dumb tradition.
Put some scalding hot cheese in there, burn a man's face, and then you get a quesadilla.
BYU should really,
weapon.
They should really bring back popcorn popping. Do you remember when they did that? You don't? Oh, they used to sing popcorn popping on the apricot tree after the game.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do, Christian? You want me to read that Saturday liner again? All right.
It's the Christian Esparza Show, 8 a.m. tomorrow.
What, did you erase the read off of the doc?
I did. We don't need
Christian
it anymore.
erased the read.
We don't need it anymore.
Shame.
I replaced it with something else. We have other things that need to be read.
Oh, man.
You read it. I checked it off. We don't need it anymore.
You can win big every Wednesday on the KSL Sports Zone with Win Ticket Wednesday. This Wednesday, win tickets to step into the magic at Holiday Lights at the ballpark at America First Square, a brand new immersive holiday tradition opening on November 14th. Reserve your tickets at the ballpark at afs.com and listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day on Wednesday for your chance to win. Stay tuned.
Bullying, man.
More next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Let's go! Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. It doesn't get much bigger than this. BYU and Texas Tech, your home for the best coverage of Cougar football, is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Join Hans and Scotty next Tuesday from noon to 3 at Sound Sleep Medical, 8941 South, 700 East in Sandy. We're going to talk a little bit Raider football with Don Williams, who covers the Raiders for the Lubbock Avalanche-Journal. We'll find out what he thinks about tomorrow night's big game, or tomorrow morning's big game.
Who do you think should feel good going into this game?
Oh, both teams, for sure.
You think one over the other?
No.
I think BYU should be feeling better about this game than Texas Tech. I think BYU is going to win this game. I think BYU should feel confident going into this game.
Well, yeah, they're 8-0. They should certainly have confidence, but there's reason for the Raiders to have confidence too.
Yeah, and Raiders have been really good, and you're at home, and that's all the excitement. You know, Utah felt better than Texas Tech probably going into that game as well, and Utah got crushed in the end, and Texas Tech escaped victorious. I get that Texas Tech is favored, but I don't know. If I'm BYU, I'm feeling pretty good about myself.
He covers the Red Raiders for the Lubbock Avalanche-Journal. He's Don Williams with us here on Jake and Ben. What's going on, Don? How are you?
Doing well, Jake and Ben. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. We were just asking, who do you think should feel better going into this game? There's a bunch of momentum, obviously, for both of these teams, but how do you think Texas Tech is feeling about this game tomorrow morning?
I think Tech's feeling, confident. It's a team that really has a lot of experience, a lot of guys who are seniors and fifth-year seniors and whatnot. Of course, maybe kind of a key stat for Texas Tech this year is in those 8 wins, they've won all 8 games by at least 23 points. And so with the exception of, that game over at Arizona State, which ended with, just a fantastic drive by Sam Levitt and Jordan Tyson to score the winning touchdown in the final minute. With the exception of that game, Tech hasn't really faced a whole lot of adversity this year. And then, you kind of couple that with this is a campus and a town that's always been rabid whenever one of its teams is doing good. We've seen it obviously a lot in basketball the last several years. Haven't seen it as much in football. But when you give Texas Tech and Lubbock people a football team to root for, they go nuts. And so the atmosphere here this week, and I'm sure tomorrow as well, will be pretty intense. So for all those reasons, I think Tech feels really good about where it's sitting.
What kind of game do you think we're in for, Don? Is it going to be kind of a slugfest, low score, or are we going to see a shootout?
I would say slugfest, low score. Joey McGuire this week said that this will be the best game in college football this week, and he said it will be the most physical game in college football this week. The Tech is just so completely different from the stereotypical Texas Tech team. The stereotypical Texas Tech team is one that lights up the scoreboard, airs it out, scores a ton of points, gives up a ton of points, and wins or loses 52-49. And they're just not playing those kind of games this year. This team is led by its defense, and I think on the flip side, I think just looking at it from an outsider's perspective, outsider's point of view, I think Texas Tech. I think the thing that really jumps out to them, and the thing that they talked about this week, is how big and physical BYU is. And I know, me personally, I think defensive front and those linebackers really get your attention. And I think it's kind of also reflected in the fact that both of these teams ranked so high nationally in the FBS in turnover margin. I believe last I looked, BYU's tied for third this week in turnover margin, and Texas Tech tied for 13th in turnover margin. In Texas case, that was the difference last week, was they had 5 takeaways at Kansas State. And the guy to keep an eye on there is, Jacob Rodriguez has seven forced fumbles, which leads the nation. And this guy has this distinctive, he punches the football, kind of picks and chooses the spots, but he punches out the football. If you have a guy kind of contained and, 2, 3, 4 people around him and he's in pretty good position to make a tackle, then he'll take his chances and punch the ball literally like a boxer. And it's come out a lot this year, and it's made a big difference. So long story short, to answer your question, I think it's going to be more of a 24-21, 27-24 kind of game.
Will Hammond against Utah was the better quarterback. Where are Texas Tech fans on Baron Morton as the leading signal caller?
Coming out of the Utah game, there was a chorus of people who wanted Will to be the starting quarterback. And there was actually some of that last year because Will's a high-profile recruit. Top 50 in the state of Texas, which if you're top 50 in the state of Texas, that's something, because there's a ton of college talent playing in high school football here. So it's one of those situations where anytime the starting quarterback, when you have the young blue chip recruit, anytime the older starting quarterback throws 2 incomplete passes, it feels like Will Hammond should be the guy in there. Get Morton out of there. Hammond needs to be in. There was some of that, but then Will, after the Utah game, didn't play. He was kind of slower starting when he came in against Kansas a couple of weeks later. And then his game at Arizona State was not that great until the very end when he led a couple of touchdown drives. And so the chorus for Will pretty much largely died down and subsided. And then, of course, it became a moot point when he suffered a season-ending knee injury on October 25th against Oklahoma State, torn ACL. And so, bad thing for him is, even on a 9-month timeline, that only puts him back at the beginning of fall camp next year. So, there's some, I think, kind of consternation internally about what's he going to be like in September next year if he doesn't have anything in spring practice or even summer, kind of conditioning workouts.
Before the season, we all heard about the big money being pumped into Texas Tech's football program. And fast forward to this week, we had Cody Campbell, who's head of the Board of Regents there at Texas Tech, on with our morning show. And I got to tell you, I was extremely impressed with him and kind of his mission, I guess, for lack of a better word. So can you catch our listeners up on Cody, his story, and the impact that he's had on not only Texas Tech football, but college football?
Well, he's a guy who's from West Texas. He grew up in a couple hours north of Lubbock. He's a third-generation Texas Tech football player because his dad played for Texas Tech and his grandfather played for Texas Tech. I believe his granddad was like on maybe the earliest Texas Tech football team back in the 1920s. He was not a very highly recruited player, but he was part of Mike Leach's first recruiting class. Came in here in the year 2000, and kind of like he has been successful in business, kind of starting from scratch. He was successful as a college football player, coming in as a unheralded recruit, and then being a 3-year starter. And he was starting offensive guard on when Michael Leach's teams really started getting it going, which I would say was 2002 in 03 and 04, Cody was a starter on those teams that were just lighting it up in a fashion of kind of like a Lavelle Edwards BYU team. And I guess I take a little bit of pride in saying I remember Cody was just so smart and well-spoken back then. I remember thinking, this is a guy who could become this is a guy who kind of has a feel of a guy who could become very successful in business and become a donor to this program. I said that about him when he was 22 years old. And lo and behold, you kind of look at what's happened now. And of course, he's made a fortune in the oil and gas and land business, and then has been very, because he played here, because the school means so much to him. He wanted to do everything he can to kind of pull Texas Tech football out of the doldrums that had been in for so long, and so he has the means, and so he's literally put his money where his mouth is. And he's also, because again of his the guy being really a sharp guy, he's the chairman of the Texas Tech Board of Regents at this moment. And so, and like you alluded to, he's even though he's obviously was a football player and his vested interest is really in football, he's kind of expanded that to have this feeling it's like it's really important, not just that, college football survives and prospers, but that the Olympic sports don't fall by the wayside at the same time. So that's kind of where his efforts are being directed outside of Texas Tech.
Do you expect this to be, I guess the first year in a long run of what this is going to look like for Texas Tech with him funding, the team and the transfer portal and kids coming in and out of high school? And do you think that's going to be, that they're going to be competitive, spending the most money amongst anyone in college football year after year?
I think they can be. And one thing I think to point out here is that Cody's not a one-man show in this, and he and his business partner John Sellers are not even a two-man show with it. There are, I would say, at least half a dozen guys or families who are also really strongly committed and big donors to this program. And so my answer to that would be, I think they will kind of spend at the top level as long as they're allowed to, as long as whatever the rules are that allow them to spend at a really high level. Because the team that they built this year, the House versus NCAA settlement terms went into effect on July the 1st. And after July the 1st, then, you went into kind of the salary cap, that $20.5 million that schools are allotted to spend. Well, Tech obviously was able to spend over and above that because most of these guys who, most of these big name transfers that they've gotten are guys whose deals were front loaded, and they got most of their money before July 1st. And so now, I guess it kind of remains to be seen what's the will schools be able to spend over and above that? What's this year's $20.5 million? I think next year will be like 22, something like that. Will schools still be able to spend over and above that amount? I think that's kind of what remains to be seen here.
Man, you mentioned Mike Leach and Lavelle Edwards before, and I used to work with Lavelle a little bit in his later years. He did some radio work for us, and to hear him first person tell the story of this annoying grad student that just kept hanging around his practices all the time, and then him eventually letting him stay and learn, and then obviously seeing where Mike Leach went with his career. I'd like to think both those guys are going to enjoy the game somewhere, wherever they may be. They're going to enjoy it tomorrow.
Yeah, that's you very well put, exactly, because people talk about how Michael Leach kind of revolutionized offensive football, and as you just said, Michael learned so much of so much of Mike's ideas kind of formulated there as a BYU student, where he watched. I'm 60 years old, so I remember vividly the BYU LaVelle Edwards teams of the 70s, and heck, I remember Gary Scheide's like the first BYU quarterback I remember. So I'm very I think both of those guys obviously deserve the credit.
Legends, no doubt. Don, thank you for coming on with us. That was great. We really appreciate it. Enjoy the game tomorrow.
Yeah, enjoy the game.
All right, thanks, Jake. Thanks, Ben. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Don. Don Williams, Lubbock Avalanche-Journal.
I'm always curious with donors, and as we had him on earlier this week, not us, but DJ and PK, and how he seems to be a positive. His name Cody Campbell. Cody Campbell. You got to be careful. Because there are going to be some donors that fancy themselves Jerry Jones.
Sure.
That want to make all the decisions and want immediate results and want to interfere if anything goes counter to what they expect.
Well, in this case, Chad Campbell bought him lines, which is exactly what they needed.
Cody.
Or what did I say, Chad? Cody Campbell bought him offensive and defensive lines, which was pretty smart.
So we will. I'll be curious to see how that continues to go, especially if Texas Tech doesn't finish the season the way I guess you would hope, because there's still a chance that they finish the season with three losses, and that's a lot of money to spend on a 3-loss team that doesn't make the playoff.
All right, stay tuned. We wrap it up. Coming up next, Jake and Ben, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
It's another battle for the Aggies, and the KSL Sports Zone has it covered. The Aggies return home to Logan for a battle against the Nevada Wolfpack. Your home for all the play-by-play coverage of Aggie football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
Let's lock in.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Two amigos on the airways, talking sports. They got him Matrix and also loves his tie-dye. Ben's got style with his scarf. Oh my.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. God, now again, Christian, we have two other liners we have to read. Does this have to be first? God, okay, I guess. Kick things off 8 a.m. tomorrow with College Football Saturday as Christian Esparza stars alongside Alex Curie and Alex Nepolis. Did you really have to write it in that way?
In a supporting role.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Get ready for that showdown between number 7 BYU and number 8 Texas Tech. The pregame show will be better than the game. Then at 10 a.m., teed up with Bob Casper and Brian Taylor for something, whatever. That doesn't matter. Listen to Christian.
College football Christian.
8 to 10. I like that.
Yeah.
Car crash Christian becomes
College football
Christian. Also, Ethan Millard with Teton Wealth will be live in studio on Monday with Hans and Scotty to help with your retirement plan. Tune in or visit retireteton.com. Also, this segment is brought to you by Peach Doors and Windows. Amazing home transformations begin with Peach, where 5-star reviews are the norm. Call them today for your free in-home estimate, 801-566-1255. Peach Doors and Windows.
Where are you on 10 a.m. games? I know we both hate 8:15 games.
Oh, I'll take 10 over 8.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, 100 out of 100 times. No, I'm good on 10.
You guys have soccer tomorrow?
I like
you
it.
Okay?
I got dance at 9, but,
Okay. Wrap it up.
get back and make it happen.
We know 10 o'clock means the game kicks off at 10:40.
I'm guessing
that's
that
more the NBA.
I'm guessing that people are less grumpy about 10 a.m. games after, like, who's still playing soccer? I mean, I think most people
Yeah,
are.
it's pretty cold
It's
out.
pretty much done
You're
with
right.
Saturday soccer. Pee Wee playoffs are over. I know that.
Was Utah Texas Tech also 10 a.m.?
Yes.
That was the game, right? That was super early.
And that's the one people were complaining about because they were like, oh, I got to go to soccer and stuff. I think most of that is over.
I do think that is a weird wrinkle. I do think playing that early is difficult. I think that is a shakeup, especially when every BYU game this year has been 8 p.m.
See, I think the 8 p.m. is more of the shakeup than the 10.
That's fair.
If you talk to coaches, I think they love it.
At 10 a.m.?
10 a.m.
You get up and you get going.
You get up, you eat, you go, you warm up, and you go. Coaches, let me put it this way, in the 8 hours where they have to keep them penned up in a hotel,
Yeah,
there's so much that could happen.
there is. And you bring
work
them
with,
down and you feed them and you go through the walkthrough, but yeah,
but
it's a
then
lot.
it's just dead time, and they could be out vandalizing buildings or, I don't know why I picked that. But they could be out causing trouble or whatever. You and I both have worked with former players, one specifically Kyle Gunther, who had hilarious stories about what the team decided to do while they were sitting around forever in a hotel.
Yeah.
And it's just, I got to imagine getting up and getting after it. I know coaches prefer that. I bet coaches prefer 10 to 5 or
so?
3. Huh. Yeah, I do. I don't think going early affects anything. I mean, I think maybe you can make a body clock argument, but
yeah, that's where it is. That's the body clock, and you are going east, so it's an hour earlier.
I don't think
that's
that
Central
matters.
Time Zone.
Yeah, I don't think that matters.
Okay.
I think it would be more of an effect for, let's say, if the Cougs were playing the Mountaineers in Provo at 8, where the Mountaineers are coming west, and it's 10 o'clock at night when they kick off the game.
I do think it's interesting that Cincinnati and who was it who got Arizona State? I know Arizona State's got the same time zone as does Colorado, but those night games against Utah have been brutal.
But yeah, Cincinnati, it's midnight before they even kick.
Yeah, right.
I would say that has more of an effect than the early part.
Weird wrinkles. I would love for this to be 1:30. That's the second kickoff window, right? I know, our time. Everything starts at 10 or 1:30. Uh-huh. I would love this to be 1:30 just for everyone to be like on the same page. You got your morning started. Everyone's ready to go. Not even to have the conversation of is it too late or is it too early. But I'm thrilled for this game to be at 10 a.m. personally, where I can get up and throw it on and,
You know who else is thrilled?
College Football Christian.
Our star of College Football Saturday.
Yeah.
College Football Christian's been staying up till like 4 a.m. for the last
that is the other thing.
Several months, and he's actually going to have a normal schedule coming up on Saturday.
1:30, you're going to be able to catch College Football Christian on the live feed. Where's the best place to watch it? I watch it on Twitter.
Yeah, I'd say Twitter or YouTube.
Okay.
It's the best place to catch him.
Get Christian at 8 a.m. coming up tomorrow.
Yeah. But you can also catch it right here on the Zone. Yeah.
Are you going to re-rack it after Real Golf Radio until you come on? So just you have Christian at least filling the gap until more Christian?
No, I would encourage the listeners to watch the game.
No, I would not. Listen to this station all the time. We'll catch you up on what you missed.
Yeah. That's what we're heard. So
what
it's
are you
our
talking
job.
about? Are you chasing people away from Real Golf Radio, Christian? Brian Taylor should come in
after Real Golf.
Brian Taylor should come in and beat you to death.
Nordegren style. Elon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, good call.
Bring a 5-iron.
Brain Christian with a wedge. We love you, Brian, even if Christian doesn't.
We wouldn't survive if we lost the star of the station. Christian is part.
Hanson, Scotty, you're next.
Thanks,
Talk
College
on Monday.
Football Christian.
97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.